everybody, good morning, and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips, the Thursday edition. The day before Friday edition, let's call it that. With me, your host, Anne, Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard, John, and whoever else wants to drop in. How are you all today? I had to slam my tea before coming on, so I'm like feeling kind of full and also not fully caffeinated, especially because I have so little caffeine now that I'm cutting back on it. Thinking about cutting back on it even more, but this morning I woke up. Now, this is the weirdest thing ever. So we always wake up out of bad dreams, right? Instead, I woke up out of an awesome dream. And it was so awesome that my brain wanted to keep it going, so I couldn't go back to sleep. My brain was like, ooh, how would we extrapolate on this? And I'm like, no brain, no story time brain, it's sleepy time brain. So it was like stupid darn brain kept me up for like 45 minutes. And it was like right at that time in the morning, it was like where I'm waking up and it's just short of 6 a.m. and I'm just like, arg, should I even go back to sleep? Yes, but it was an awesome brain. I dreamt I had superpowers, and other people around the world also had some superpowers. But first, everybody was using their superpowers for bad, but then I convinced them to use their superpowers to make the world a better place, and it was the best feeling ever. Oh my god. It was the best dream ever, guys. Seriously. Would have dream again. Yes. Also, it was somewhat reassuring, because it means that the bright side of my soul is stronger than the dark side of my soul. My subconscious mind apparently wants to help the world. I'm okay. After it does a few selfish things for itself. Oh no, did Agent Marvel get no sub? Oh no! Yeah, maybe, but Twitch was weird though. It wouldn't let me sign on. Like, I had to do it twice. Isn't that a fantastic dream? Especially the holiday season, you know? It's just a fantastic dream. Like, honestly, I could say that dream, I think, made me happier than any dream that I've ever had in my entire life. Like, just that immense feeling of happiness was great. It was amazing. Everybody should have that feeling. So, yeah. Like, sometimes my dreams are not so good, like zombies and people trying to kill me, but that last night's dream, 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up, subconscious mind. Keep them coming. Apparently, maybe it's because I said subconsciouses were weird yesterday. Maybe my subconscious mind was like, hey. And it has a good point. Our subconscious minds are weird little things, but they're also happy little things. And they've got both. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's weird. But if it was reading your sub, like, maybe log out and back in to Twitch, Agent Marvel. Because if it was reading your sub, wouldn't you have an icon? Like, if you sub, don't you have an icon in front of your name? I don't remember. But it's not showing me your icon either. So. Oh, you haven't subbed. Okay, got it. Twitch is being twitchy. Got it. Alrighty then. No idea. Twitch, apparently, like our subconscious minds, is whimsical. What am I doing? I don't know. Let's do lettering. It's been bothering me that I haven't lettered in this sign yet. I'm gonna use walnut instead of brown liner for this, and the reason is that I want these letters to be dark. If I wanted the letters, I also want them to, like, I don't want to have to do them twice or 3 times, right? If you use brown liner sometimes, because it's a softer, more translucent brown, you could get a more natural look, but I'm thinking more that I want those letters to go down and stick the minute I put them in, and then if I want to fade them in, I'm just going to do a glaze. Weird. Yes, Agent Marvel, Twitch is just funky. Twitch is just a big subconscious mind. I have CrossFit again tonight. I'm like, this week I'm not looking forward to CrossFit. Like, I'm kind of tired. And I'm just like, some weeks I'm just like, yeah, it's CrossFit day. Yeah, I can't wait. And other days I'm just like, kind of like that. Alrighty, so I'm going to do a 2-to-1 with walnut paint to water, and we'll see how strong that is. It should still be pretty strong unless my drops are really big. And that's worth mentioning is that depending on the aperture of your dropper bottle, if you've pokey tooled it more than once in the past, you may find your aperture is bigger and you're getting bigger drops of water. That's going to affect your paint consistency, so you may want to kind of like pay attention to that if you're going to either switch to a fresh bottle so your drops stay consistent, or just keep in mind you may only need like 1 drop plus a little bit of water on your brush. Today I'm working on, I actually finished my $2 PDF last night and then promptly realized I needed a picture for it, so I went off to shoot one and then forgot to post it because we were rushing dinner and David came home and I was like, oh, oops. This morning I opened up my computer and poof, there's the PDF sitting there right on top, and I'm like, oh. We started the little mouse guard, Pendrake. Mouseling was finished the stream before. We have moved on. Moving on to mouse guard. Yeah, I started with her blonde fur yesterday. Yeah, mouse was finished that previous one where I put the rust in. Just little touches of it. So we started on Little Mouse yesterday. I'm going to get in focus. Focus. Oh, that's true. Quindy has a good point. If you ever wondered, you could always just pull up the end of a VOD and look at the last, like, 10 minutes from the end. You'd always see what we were working on. Oh, yay, you're back, Agent Marble. And your little Reaper skull is... Somebody gave it to you, right? Did we get a... Yeah, we got a gift. Yay! Aw, thanks, Zachariah. Thank you for enabling our Agent Marble. Also, a.k.a. the secret, like, twin of mine separated from me at birth, apparently. Or at very least a soul sister. So, alright, here we go. Yay for enablement. Oh, man. I don't know if that's the message we want on our stream. Hey, Inara, how are you doing today? Still good? Things still chugging along the way they should instead of the horrible, bad, scary way? All right, we're going to use some walnut and we're going to see if I like it. So I'm using it like 2-to-1, which is still pretty thin. And what that should let me do is kind of fill in, because these letters are sculpted so nicely. That should let me fill in what I want. And as mentioned, if I want it to look kind of faded into the parchment, then I'll do a glaze over the top of this, probably with something like creamy ivory. Because I wouldn't mind keep bringing these up a section. I like the kind of worn parchment look I've got right now. I like the color, but going a little lighter would not be bad. So we're just going real slow. And that's the way to do this. Just don't get impatient. And be conscious that you can always touch up the edges or bring in your brush with some water on it real fast to if you make a blorf. 30 muffins, jeez. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. 2 hours. Yep, understood. Good luck with your infusion. So just really gently and slowly. And you can see my brush comes to such a nice point, which is why I say, like, even if you use Taklons for your everyday painting, which is perfectly fair these days, there's some pretty good Taklons. When you need that fine point, like, keep a sable in reserve, essentially. Even if you buy a nice sable, even if you only ever bring it out for this sort of detail work, it's still worth it to be able to hit everything so nicely. I have all my recipes dialed in so that I can make 4 or 8 muffins depending on how I'm feeling, Agent Marvel. I have all my recipes, like I've copied them down purposefully to have a smaller amount. I have a book, a blank notebook, like one of the nice blank journals. And I started when I first started learning to cook gluten-free and then keto, I kept all my favorite recipes in it, wrote them all down in that, and so I've continued using that. David got me a nice recipe book, but I just haven't taken the time to copy all my recipes onto cards, because if you already have the thing that works, I feel bad, because it's a nice recipe book. And it would let me finally, like, copy down all the stuff that I use and discard the pages that I don't really go to anymore. Yeah, that's for sure with those muffins. Corn muffins are just good. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, Kuro. This is where my 5-year journal really comes in. I would make a note of that, and then when I got back around to this part of the year, I would reread my previous year's entry and go, oh, yeah. Like, I hadn't realized it's only been like a year since I like really instituted my power nap philosophy, but I was reminded of that yesterday when I read my journal, and I was noting how well it was working out to take my nap. There. So the other nice thing with walnut is it is a highly pigmented paint, and so weirdly, highly pigmented paints actually don't have quite as high adhesion, so they're easier to scrub off when they haven't yet really set. So essentially, with this walnut, I'm able to bring my brush back in, and I have maybe a second more leeway to scrub away some of the missed brush strokes, because the walnut just doesn't have quite the stick-to-itiveness in the early phases. Don't pay when your thumb is numb. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, exactly. I do the same thing, Agent Marvel. Usually, in that case, I'll make like 8 muffins, and then I'll freeze half of them with like 2 dinners worth of chili. Oh no! It's dropping things day. I see it. I'm like staring unhappily right now at a pile of sweets and other crazy things that are piling up on our counter thanks to the holiday, the onrushing holiday, because like our maid gave us a present yesterday, because we've kept her for like over a year now. We like her and her people, and so she gave us a present, and of course it was a nice box of chocolates that's been sitting and staring at me on the counter now. And then David brought home cake pops from one of his Google parties. Fancy little cake pops. And I know that his parents are probably also going to get us chocolate. I'm going to have my willpower in full. Either that, or I'm going to have to just do really religious, like low carb up until the holidays so that my guts are like fully recovered. When that happens, I can take a couple days and kind of go hog wild, but after that I have to tighten up again. There we go. That looks nice. Hey, Thormel. David eats them. It's David Chow. Good one, Pendring. Actually, the good thing is that his parents will be here and they will be, helping us to nom things, but the bad part is that his mom will bring at least 3 different kinds of quickies. So, it's good and it's bad and it's ugly. What I will end up doing, like, I think last year I was still eating Christmas chocolate into, like, April with the chocolate bars and stuff. They tend to get us, like, nice chocolate bars as stocking stuffers. But yeah, there's at least some of that stuff will. The nice chocolates are harder because they actually have an expiration date that's a lot sooner, or a best by date that's a lot sooner. Um, but at least the nice chocolate bars will last for months, so I don't have to eat everything right away. Yes, exactly. Yeah, chocolate orange lint is my favorite. I hear that. Oh, it's all on you. Yeah, I'll freeze cookies, but these are gonna be glutinous cookies too, right? So it's like I really am not gonna. Most of them are gonna be David. Happily, when they are glutinous, that's when I can really like my willpower works because I really don't want what the fallout's gonna be. So it actually is much easier for me to resist all baked goods if they have gluten, if they're made with regular flour. That she usually also makes Florentines that I think are. They have a very, very small amount of flour in them. Oh, I screwed that up. So you see, you can just scrub off that walnut. Especially when the walnut is thin. This is the thing about high pigment paints, is that depending on the base, and walnut is loaded with pigment. That's it's really really is. It's got a high density base and it's loaded with a bunch of red oxide on top of the black. So when you've got that, when you thin that paint, you're already kind of impacting how well it sticks to the model. So when you also have a high pigment count, high pigment means it does impact adhesion. So when you've got both of those, when you make a mistake on one of these little things, you can just scrub it off. This is actually one of the things that Jennifer base can also contribute to this. If you're using a vinyl base or a very soft base that's very plasticky and has good coverage but isn't very durable, like old Vallejo model color. That's why Jennifer used to really like using their Vallejo white to sketch in freehand because she could just scrub it off. Like it was so on top of being the pigment count and on top of like having it thinned, you also had a paint that didn't have a high durability. So essentially you could sketch on and even if it was dry, you could just scrub a line off with your damp brush if you needed to. Especially if you sealed the underlying surface, if you put a coat of sealer down before you started sketching. Yeah, the chocolate advent color stuff is pretty cool. Oh, fudge. Yeah. Tearjin. Well, don't OD. Yeah, that'd be cool, Pendrake. You could do white chocolate with green food coloring in it instead of doing regular chocolate. I bet there's all sorts of ways to do that. I used to do cutout window pane cookies with melted green sugar Christmas trees in the middle. Oh, wow, Cornico, that's terrible. That's terrible. Your mother abused your child status to get you the wrong chocolate. That's terrible. Child abuse. Oh, man. That's just awful. I do like orange and chocolate, but I like peel the best. Chocolate covered orange peel is my fave. We've actually got chocolate covered orange peel in the house right now. And I have to exercise my willpower to only have like one piece every day if I'm going to have it in a day. My willpower is getting a really good workout these days, let me tell you. Although it helps when my guts aren't feeling that great because then my willpower has the backup of, I really don't feel that great. Crowley. Oh yeah, the green mint kisses would work. Okay, Cornico. You're funny. Um, yeah, headed for the sweet holiday, that's for sure. What I have found, for those of you on keto or low carb who are like worried about it, I'd have found that once you're firmly on keto, I would give it at least a couple weeks, if not 3 or 4. But once you're firmly on keto, you can have like a binge dinner where you even have full dessert and stuff. And if you just go right back on keto right after it, you'll be fine. So you can deviate, but you just can't, when you do it for more than like a day or two is when you're going to fall firmly off of the keto wagon. And everybody is different. Some people fall off of it easier than others, but my body likes low carb so much, I found that it kind of rebounded. I might pay a little bit for my overindulgence, but in general, I wouldn't go back through induction. It wouldn't snap me out of keto where I got the keto flu again. I would just go happily back onto keto. Some people are different. I've read of, and it depends also on how much carbs you throw in there, I suppose. But I've read of people who do it for like a weekend and then like have to suffer for it. But I never had that experience. There we go. So now I want to bring in a thinned down cream color, blend it in, touch up my edges, probably put an extra highlight on the edges. Christine I like that she didn't use a standard font on this. This is a fun and creative font. Bye, Crowley. I used to like those, but I really like Peel better. Like if I'm gonna have chocolate orange these days, I'm super fussy because I don't eat it very much anymore. I used to like those orange slices, but now I worked for Fannie Farmer, which is like chocolate shop, another one like Fannie Mae here in the U.S. And I got the chocolate covered orange peel that they had was phenomenal, and of course I got to eat it every time. Every time it came in, if there was a mashed piece, I got to eat it. Whenever we got a shipment. So I do really like the actual candied orange instead of just the orange essence or orange flavor. Yeah, evil in spherical form, huh, Cornico? Oh, poor Cornico. All right, well, keep in mind that you don't like chocolate and orange together. Where is my creamy ivory? All right, so this is much lighter than anything we've done on this before, but we're going to do a glaze, and that's going to help everything else blend in. Yeah, so essentially what you do is you candy the orange Agent Marvel. So you desiccate it in a sugar solution. You can use peel or you can use whole partial orange slices. Ours are actually thin orange slices cut in half. And then you put them into sugar, like a heavy, heavy sugar solution, and essentially like bubble them until the sugar really infuses the orange. And then usually you also like desiccate them by putting them in sugar afterwards. You don't have to. Candied peel is candied peel, but yeah, a lot of people will dip them in sugar afterwards, and that'll suck the moisture out of them even more. And then you cover them in dark chocolate. So yeah, pretty tasty. But when you've got the orange peel, when you do that sugar solution, it takes all the bitterness out of it. So it's really just like a kind of almost like a jelly when it comes down, when it's done. So it's the candied peel is more like a jelly. If you know fruitcakes, the chopped up fruit you get in there is usually candied fruit. Yeah, candied oranges with regular dark chocolate is what I like. That's what we have right now. Like, I loved them, so I splurged and picked up a package of them. David tried them once and he was addicted. So now David is actually more addicted to the candied orange slices than I am. But that boy has the metabolism of being able to, like, eat a lot more than me and still not be, like, totally rotund, which is just not fair. I'm going to do 1 drop of my Creamy Ivory. I'm going to do 3 drops of water. I'm going to see what that does. Because Creamy Ivory has so much white in it, I want to glaze. Light glazes are the trickiest because they're going to show brush marks the easiest because you're dealing with an opaque paint, so you have to be super smooth in your application. Oh, nice. Well, lucky or unlucky, Agent Marvel. Right. Because you have one in town, it's more accessible. Remember, we are trying to break the paint, so I am going to 1 to 3 paint to water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fingernail. And I'm going to just paint that over the top. So that's about right. That's going to fog everything. I can still see details under it. It might even be a little bit too much. Because that's pretty strong. You can see it. But that's like the minimum, I would say. But yeah, testing it on your fingernail is good because then you can see how much you can see the underlying details of your nail through it. It's a smooth surface. You can do 1 brush stroke and you'll be able to see how strong it is. Especially for white or off-white paints like this Creamy Ivory, where otherwise it can be, you can't use the palette. Many people bring real sweets to ReaperCon, Kornika, but we would love to have some real sweets from you, because that would be pretty superior stuff that we probably couldn't get otherwise. Alright, so now my question is do I really want to do this? I have to decide. This is fraught. It's fraught. But I think I might. I think I'm going to do a tiny bit more water. Which is just like a brush full. But it's a big brush. Because I'm just a little hesitant at seeing that particular... So that one, you can still see it. But see how much less it covers over everything? That's more like what I want. I want a really thin layer of color so I can still see all my details, but it just gives them a slight fog. Now I want a big brush to do this with so that I can hit everything very quickly. And this is key. This is key in doing a pale glaze, doing a light colored glaze. You really want to be able to cover all of that fast because you want that self-leveling, you want that paint to flow together, you want that to work. So, grabbing a bunch on my brush, not a ton on my brush, but enough. And then we're just going to go over the top with one hit. Then we're going to rinse out, come back quick, and get that excess out of those letters. Because of course it wants to sit in those recesses. But we do not want it to sit there. So you see how that's faded it just a little bit. But what that also lets me do, by putting that down, I've brought it a little closer to some of these other colors for one thing. It's not popping out quite as much. And the letters look more like they're integral, right? They're not like I was drawing. They look less drawn on now. They look more natural, see it? And the other thing, marzipan is my favorite too. They're carved in, Pendrake. I mean, do you mean the sculptor? I mean, they were sculpted in, obviously. But I decided I wanted it to look more like they were written on parchment. So, thus I am doing this. I don't want that, I want this. The other thing that doing this does is I wanted to highlight it more, but this was a really custom blend when I mixed it, and I'm like, well, I don't want to have to duplicate that again. I want to use my creamy ivory. So to get the creamy ivory to work on this, that's another reason to glaze it. Oh, try the, if you get the Ritter chocolate bars, those little square ones that are in little cubes, there is a Ritter bar that's red packaging, that is a dark chocolate covered marzipan. It is the best damn thing ever. Get that one. That's, if you want to experience marzipan Agent Marvel, that's what you do. Get the marzipan filling rather than the marzipan that hardens and is candy. So the Ritter bars are the best marzipan that I have found in easy to eat. Yeah, I can even show you the packaging. Hold on, let me see. I bet I can find it. A picture of it online. There we go. This is what it looks like. Although I think they've had some new packaging. But it's little tiny cubes, so it's actually kind of good if you want just a little hit of something really intensely flavored. This stuff. Seriously. It's the only one of their candy bars we buy. And we get them at our local, most like little like stores like Whole Foods or Sprouts will probably have that brand. Now, one thing this has done is it's faded out like this central letter that the white decided to go and sit in. So if I'm going to touch those up, I'll actually do it in a different way. But anyway, let's get into this other glaze. I'm not as much of a fan with the nuts. Like, I can get other nut bars that are pretty good also, Cornico. Like, I have some other brands I like, but for nobody else does the marzipan, so that's what I go for the Ritter for. But yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad. They're certainly better than most brands. We have a lot of little kind of cottage artisan chocolate brands here. Boom, boom, boom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Rinse, 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 rinse. Pull, 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 pull. And you got to go back over the surface quickly while it's still wet. The minute it dries, you are screwed. You will leave brush strokes, so it's fast. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in, because some of these letters look a little faded, but now I have that covering of creamy ivory over the top, which means I can use that creamy ivory to kind of sharpen around these letters without it sticking out too much. So I'm going to make it a little stronger now. Going to bring some another drop of paint into it, making it more of a 1:2, which should bring it into layering consistency. Oh yeah, Aldi. I've heard there's just weird stuff, Aldi. Like, you can get some weird, interesting, good stuff at Aldi, but I've never gone to one. I have so many grocery stores already that I like to go to. Alrighty. And I'm going to grab just a little bit of a brown and mix something close to that. Yeah, I want to highlight, because there's still a little messiness around some of the letters, so I want to essentially highlight around the edges to bring those letters out a little bit more. If I want to make them look carved in, now is the time I can do that. I don't know if I'll mess with that. They'll probably naturally look like that because they are actually carved in, so they don't really need a lot of help here. Kind of mixing up an off orangey color to touch up in case I screw things up. which is easy to mix from Harvest Brown, Creamy Ivory, and a touch of my Walnut Brown. This will be probably close enough to touch up to the color I have already. My little local grocery store that I like, Piazza's, also imports a lot from... They import a lot from the UK, and I wonder if they have a connection there. Or if one of their owners is from the UK and loves to have, like, English Christmas stuff and things like that. Like, there was holiday preserves, which were like plum preserves with port. It was really interesting. I got those last year. So now I can come back and I can highlight up here, test and see how much my layering is going to show. It's actually pretty good. This is pretty good. When you keep in mind that pure white is the color that needs the most thinning to do smooth layering, and pure white is like 2.5 to, or 1 to 2.5, so it's like 5 drops of water for 2 drops of paint to get to that extent. Then when you're doing a near white, you can almost guarantee, as long as that white has a certain amount of white pigment in it, you can almost guarantee that going 1 to 2 instead of 1 to 2.5 is going to put you in the right neighborhood, so to speak. Just going to bring in a little bit of my brown that I mixed. Kind of touch up, sharpen up some stuff. Now, if I want to have a letter touch-up color, like I want to be able to reinforce, maybe my N here got a little faded, or my U, the way to do that is to think about it. You've got walnut letters that we put a creamy ivory glaze over. So if you want to get that color, it's the same mixture you would think it is. It's a little bit of walnut with some creamy ivory in there to pick it up to a very dark gray brown. But adding that ivory is what's going to give you that effect. Enough of it to go in and touch up. Yeah, it was like Holiday Jam. And it was like from England. Like, I read the labels. But yeah, they've got some cool stuff that comes in. I have to resist all the time. They also have some cool French stuff. We have a lot of expatriate French in our neighborhood. And some German. Lot of French, though. So the local markets I can tell, play to that sometimes, because they'll bring in French stuff from overseas for the holidays. Gonna make another puddle of my creamy ivory, because I used it all to lighten that walnut. Remember, we're using 4 drops of water to 2 drops of paint. And only with a strongly pigmented off-white are you going to do that thin. Unless you're glazing. But for layering, that's thin enough for anything except pure white. Yeah, I don't think we have an Aldi close to us. I know there's one closer to Stanford. But that's about 15 minutes from us. And usually that's too much for me to drive now. I've gotten so spoiled. I walk down the block to Safeway and I drive, like 4 minutes to Piazza's, and I'm just like, I'm done. Going further afield than that seems funny. I think I want a little bit of a darker brown. Hold on. I want a little bit more oranginess in here. So I'm going to add a little bit more oranginess into it. Yeah, there we go. It's more like what I started with. American candy, oh no. Exotic foods, no. The poor exotic foods aisle. If it's stuck with a bunch of American candy, you know it's bad. Poor thing. Like, not that we don't have good candy companies here, but we also have terrible candy companies here. Using this to touch up the areas where my glaze tapered off and I didn't blend it in, so now I'm blending it in. Coolest thing to do if you're a chocolate lover, I think, here in the States, because we do have a lot of little boutique chocolate companies in different regions, as well as some bigger chocolate companies that just make good stuff that you find anywhere, but you don't always find all of their flavors everywhere. So when I'm traveling to a different city, like I did this in Fargo, I did it in Denver. I will always go to a grocery store or a good like something boutique like a Whole Foods. And I will look at the chocolate section because there will always be brands and flavors I've never heard of. So if you ever, those of you who are from other areas, or even those of you who are in these areas but haven't traveled a lot, if you ever travel around the States and you like chocolate, try that out because you can get some really cool stuff. And also just some really weird stuff. Oh, not surprising, Thormel. Yeah. Yeah, our stuff tends to have bad stuff in it. We don't have as much regulation of it. Gonna grab this and try to trim out, like there's little rough areas, just like around the D here. And when I bring in this color, I'm just layering with it, so I'm just adding a tiny bit of light. You're not gonna be able to see brush strokes much here. So it's not like taking like a line of the off-white and trimming it up. It's more like you're just using like a little suggestion to tighten up your letters. Probably additives, yeah. Or preservatives. Chemicals. So I don't eat processed food anymore for the most part, with some small exceptions. Label reading was hard when I first got into it, but now it's second nature. Little bit of wet blend. Yeah, biscuits and gravy is awesome though. Like, that's an exception for a glutinous food that I will make every once in a while. If they look good. So if you want to accentuate the relief of this stuff, then put a subtle highlight at the bottom of areas, like the bottom of the letters, the bottom edge. That will accentuate the fact that they're carved in. If you don't want that effect, then don't do it. Right, yeah. I love orange sodas in the UK, Cornico, because you can actually see the little chunks of orange in them. I got addicted to that when I was over there. Now I probably wouldn't just because it's so sugary. But back in the day when I was a sugar and carb hound, oh boy, I loved those things. I can't remember the brand, but oh my god. I missed a little bit on that E, a little serif. So since I mixed up this faded walnut, I can put it in there. Yeah. The problem is that most exotic, like US stuff, is very regional. So it's probably not anything you would catch on import unless the person importing it like was from an area and knew about it. Orange juice with bits. I like that. Makes sense to me. Well, and things like in Minnesota and Wisconsin, the upper Midwest, you get things like birch beer, which if you haven't had it is like root beer except it tastes like wintergreen. It's the funkiest stuff. I love it. Love it, love it. Like it tastes like a wintergreen root beer. It's really funky. But I love that stuff the minute I had it. But I can't find it anywhere else, right? Like very rarely could I find birch beer in Texas. And I don't think I found it out here. Not that these days with the no sugar thing, I don't really look for it, but I don't think I've seen it. I usually, when I see it in the grocery store, I usually do a little happy dance, even if I don't buy it. Just because I love it. But yeah, so regional. Yeah, like there's a lot of foods in Santa Fe you probably wouldn't get. A lot of stuff, you wouldn't, that kind of mid-southwest, really hot pepper stuff. Yeah, and Tex-Mex and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool regional foods in the U.S., but I don't imagine that most people would know to import them. I think I actually off-centered that in a little bit. Either that or it's got extra... When I get close and I start touching up, then I can see where, oh, there's a groove here, and I probably needed to make the leg of my N go down like that. Plus, I don't know how well, depending, like, it's weird now, right? Because you have a lot of really good Indian food in, like, London and surrounds, for example. And that has got to bring with it a spice level tolerance for some people. But for a lot of people who don't have the spice tolerance, New Mexico food wouldn't be, like, what they would choose. Because it does tend to be hot. It's super tasty, but it does tend to be hot. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine like barbecue and Tex-Mex and some of the odder regional, more unusual regional foods would be like, that would be exotic U.S. food, really. Maybe some of the Creole stuff from New Orleans. Quindy could testify, I mean, recipes make their way around the globe, but finding a good place that does it near you would be more rare. I'll argue with you, crows. Sorry, Texas barbecue is the best. I have to be loyal. Yes, Indian food is a different type of spicy. This is true. can find prawns. I mean, you can do the shrimp. Like, you don't have to have crawdads. I personally do not like crawdads, so I always go for the crab and prawn, shrimp, gumbos, things like that. But yeah, I do. I will stand up for Texas barbecue. A lot of people like Kansas City barbecue, though. So if I want to blend in this just a little bit more, I think. Mud bugs. Crawdads are more like lobsters. They're tiny lobsters. But I was never as much into lobster as I was into shrimp, even as a kid. I like that shrimpy taste. We never make lobster in the house here. It's always shrimp. But to each their own with the shellfish. Yeah, I'm not happy with this part. I wanted it to feel like it's just way too thick, and I want to take it down a notch. So I'm going to fade it in with a quick glaze of that walnut, which is going to make it recede a little bit more, which is what I want. Oh, you didn't know what barbecue? Yeah, seasoning and slow smoking. Yeah, slow smoking. Sometimes not even tough cuts of meat. Like you definitely get people smoking just about everything these days, or trying to. Yeah, crawdads are crayfish. In the South, they call them crawdads, and in the Midwest, where I grew up, they were crayfish. We had them in our little local pond. And in the little streamlets that came off of it. We used to catch them as kids and let them go. Yep, tiny little freshwater lobsters. Yep. But yeah, barbecue is definitely an American thing, and it's really, really super tasty. In almost any iteration. But I don't think Cornico would really go for it because it's not meativore. Although you can smoke you might like the cheese. There's a way to smoke cheese. You probably have had smoked cheese before, though, Cornico. Because as I recall, Kuro is vegetarian. But the smoked cheeses are really cool. They've been becoming more prevalent in the market lately. Just doing some little touch-ups here with some quick wet blends using my orangey color that I mixed up and the faded walnut that I mixed up. Make sure I keep some shadows in here. Yeah, invasive crayfish. Well, then you should be eating them. Maybe not you, but... Yeah, so... Barbecue does have the tradition of smoked and grilled veggies as well, so... But yeah, because you don't eat meat, like, barbecue will probably seem like, to you, because it's really the barbecued meats that are the kind of the point of it, I guess, as I think Inara said. And yeah, it started out as being a way to get tough cuts of meat. more edible, but now, I mean, people smoke whole chickens. Yeah. Yeah, Inara, I'm not that picky about my barbecue definitions, probably because I don't know, because we had a smoker, but technically it is direct heat. I mean, it's capturing the heat, sure, but there is a fire underneath it, so um, but yeah, it depends on how traditionalist you are about it. We had we had a column smoker, so we didn't have a side smoker, so it was definitely still over the heat, even though it was mostly to capture low heat and the fire was very low. But yeah. Oh yeah, that's sad, Agent Marvel. Sounds like the Midwest. Oh wait, you are in the Midwest, aren't you? It sounds like where I grew up. That's funny. All right, I like this a little better. I'm just testing, kind of looking at stuff, making sure that I've gotten tightened up my letters. Don't want any wobblies. And I like how you can read the letters now. They're clear, but they're not too bold. Like, I didn't want them, like, really super bold like they were before. Yeah. Now it's more like the letters are there, but they're not going to come up and smack you in the face. And since I took down the saturation on this, it's not as orangey anymore. Your eyes don't rush to it anymore. They're more likely to go up here first because this is a little more muted and less interesting. And that was purposeful. That's because I liked that color, that rich orangey color that we had on there, but it was also just way too distracting in my opinion. So that's why I came back and did this instead. So now looking at it from the front, I'm still very happy with it. It still has a warmth down there, but it is more in alignment with everything here. Yeah, yeah. Oh well. But that's why you can come to ReaperCon, so you can have real barbecue. Just an excuse, really. There's a little bit more highlight there, and I'm much happier with that now. Much, much happier. Okay, let's go on to ropes and at least do some shading. Oh, okay. If you really want barbecue, yeah, yeah. Okay, we've got a yellow oxide color here. I think I want, now the danger with yellow oxide colors is that if you go too dark to shade them, like our washed out walnut here, it will go greenish because yellow and black interaction, unless you introduce enough red to counter that. The reason the red counters it is that red is the complementary color to green. So if you always think in those terms, like, oh, I mixed this, but it's too red, how do I stop that? Always think green. I just add a little bit of green. It might be just a tiny touch of green. And try to use the purest green you've got. Not really complicated green, unless you're looking for that. And grab some yellow oxide. And I'll probably use Creamy Ivory to highlight it because I've got Creamy Ivory out. There's always like not as good barbecue though, right, Inara? Like there's acceptable barbecue and then there's phenomenal barbecue, right? And then there's just darn good barbecue. But I mean, I've definitely had some places in Texas where it's Texas barbecue, but it's acceptable. It's not good, like oh, that was good, and it's not like phenomenal. But I think there are grades. So first I'm going to add the Creamy Ivory to the yellow oxide. I'm going to try to get a highlight color for our rope coming on, but I need it to not be... This was muted a little bit, so I'm gonna... What are you doing, Papa? Papa dragged home a chucket ball. She found a fresh new chucket ball at the park this morning and carried it home. So she's been, like, playing with it in various ways all day. Yeah, Rudy's is acceptable. Like, sometimes you can get some pretty good brisket there. I wouldn't, the turkey's always dry. I'm like, I consider Rudy's acceptable. If you have a big group of people and you just want to feed them something that equates to barbecue, Rudy's is acceptable. Hi, Papa. You here to show everybody your ball? Are you here to show them your ball? Yeah, do you wanna? Okay, hold on. Let me get up here. Okay, you want to show them your ball? Come on up. Come on up. Oh, show them your ball. Yes, good girl. I found this ball at the park. It's my best friend now. I don't want it to go away. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, you showed off your ball. Very good. Yeah, it's a chain, Agent Marvel. So if you look at this now, you can see it's kind of gone a little greenish. So if I want to counteract that, I'll add in a little bit of red. I don't mind it so much, but I don't love it. So it's only a slight greenish hint. Yes, Kiki with her ball. Like, I find that, like, Rudy's is decent if you just want quick barbecue or you have a big group. You're not too fussy. And you don't want to drive that far. Like I said, usually the brisket there is pretty good. Brisket's one of my things that I like to have at barbecue, but I wouldn't go there, like, they aren't nearly, like, I wouldn't go there for ribs. Like, for me, I'm like, it has to be a good barbecue place for me to have ribs. And I like ribs, so. Yes. Right, and that is Texas barbecue at its okay, acceptable level in our, yep. I think that when you get to the good and above is, although you will find that Texas really is about, like, the smoke flavor, like, not about putting a bunch of other flavors in, which is more Kansas City, I think. They mostly want a good, smoky, rich, meaty flavor. You sometimes get unusual rubs, depending, but that's more like something you're going to find in a good barbecue place, less in just a Rudy's barbecue place. Yeah. There's a couple places that are a little bit out from Denton now that are good. There's also a place east of it, McKinney. There was actually a good barbecue place in McKinney that opened right before I left. But yeah, most of the local in Denton places are like, okay, they're okay. I'm going to add in a little red. I'm using fire red just because that's close to a pure red. Could use clear red, could use blood red. You just want to choose a red that's, until you lose that, there we go. Until you lose that green. I want to lose that green. It doesn't take very much, just a couple little dabs on my brush there. Yeah, Addison does have great food places still. Yep. I like a little bit of sauce, but my problem is I have to have a sauce that's very, very low tomato or no tomato. I actually found an Australian sauce that is caramelized onions. That's its base. And no tomato. I like, oh my god, and it tastes just like barbecue sauce, but I love onions also, so. I was so happy when I found that sauce. Yeah, that's what she was saying, I believe, Crows. Yeah. Alrighty. Now, I am going to grab my red, and I'm going to actually put it into this mixture of faded walnut a little bit. A little bit on my brush. That is going to help predispose this color not to go green when I mix it with a shadow. But yeah, most Texans would not call Rudy's good barbecue. They would call it acceptable. Like I said, if you're going out, you don't want to drive, or you got a big group of people to feed. It's inexpensive. It's Texas barbecue, but it's nothing to write home about. Some people get quite fond of Rudy's. But I was always rather ambivalent. Then again, I'm kind of a foodie, so it makes sense. So I'm going to do that faded walnut. I'm going to do it, I'm going to at least make the line between the ropes here. Then we're going to try to branch out from that. With rough, bumpy areas like this, it can be hard to get a decent line. That's fine. You're just blocking at this point. You just want to get that demarcation line so you can start separating out those rope strands. You could also just do this with a wet blend, like a block, if you wanted to grab your base color and just start blending. That's how David would do it, probably. But again, if we mix these, we do run that risk of getting a little green. Even though I preloaded the mixture with red, I didn't overdo it. And it'll go a little gray. That tends to accentuate the greenness because there's both colors have white, and then of course the walnut, the faded walnut, has black. You could do a wash on this. Totally acceptable. Maybe we will after I get this lining in. It's not like my favorite technique, but it would work well on this textured surface. Yeah. Yeah, that's the area. The southeast is, I guess Kansas is more central, south central. But I just never get to that area. Missouri or anywhere. I used to drive back and forth between Wisconsin and Texas and hit a lot of those states in there, but not anymore. I feel like more now I used to be out east more often, but now I'm all so west. I'm so west. I'm only up in the Midwest when I visit my folks. Alright. So if we're going to do a wash over this, though, I would not do a wash with this walnut because it will go very greenish. And maybe we want the ropes to be a little greenish if we're going to be putting more green into the pylons. But if so, I want to add that more haphazardly. I don't want it to be a uniform coat because that's not how algae and such would grow. So yeah, I just never get out to that area. All right, so what kind of wash would we put? We would probably build a dark brown. Maybe black and brown. Walnut is too dark, let me see what I got. Oh, I've obviously put my black and brown somewhere else. Well then, next best thing, brown liner plus russet. Either that or it's hiding somewhere over here, but I don't know where I stuffed it. So I'm going to do 2 drops of brown liner, 2 drops of russet brown. I really like this mix lately as a general shader if I'm not looking for a really cold tone, if I want a warmer tone. And we'll see how this works. I'm going to actually mix it up just as a batch, and then I'm going to turn it into a wash. But since there's like 4 drops of it, it won't pay to turn it into a wash. We'd have a huge batch of wash that we're not going to use. So instead I'll mix the color, because I might use that for shading in general. And you can see how much warmer that color is compared to this faded out walnut. So it's not going to go green when it's put over our yellow. I'm going to just put a big brush full of that. It's already thinned a bit, but I'll put a big brush full of that over here. And grab my brush on sealer, which I just stirred up the other day. And since I've already got a pre-thinned color, I'm going to try to just do a couple drops of sealer. That was a big drop, but that's okay. My sealer's getting down to the bottom of the bottle. It's a little more recalcitrant about coming out. Then I'll drop a drop of water in there. Boom. I think my how to make your own wash video at this point on YouTube is up to like 1.4 thousand views, which is funny. Alright, so that's more what I want in a wash. If I have to darken it, I have my color right here that I can add more paint into it, but I'm going to just throw it over the top of this rope and see how it goes. And I'll grab my big brush again, although this time we won't be using it to cover the surface smoothly, quickly, with a thin layer. We'll be actually using it to apply a bunch of gloopy wash in puddlies. This is the difference between a wash and a glaze, other than consistency, is how you apply it. Washes, you want to dab it on, a lot of it on, and then just let it sit. Whereas a glaze, you do not want to dab, you want to brush it quickly over the entire surface. And here I definitely want pooling. Now notice how dark it is taking the rope. It's taking it closer to the pylons here, but I'm planning to darken down the area around the rope on these pylons, so I'm still okay there. I don't want to make them too close though. This does though make more work, hypothetically, coming back up, except that I want the rope to be a bit dirty, so it's actually not going to make that much work. If I wanted the rope to look very clean and have that golden color, then a wash would not be what I would reach for, because it is just going to make more work for us. There. Oh, you're leaving it around. Bye-bye. Good luck. I hope your infusion goes well. And the other downside of a wash is now we now must wait for it to dry. I can pull some of it off in areas where I see it pooling too much. This also does help blend in our lining, notice. So we'll let that set. I have the yawnies today. Oof. I think I'm going to grab my walnut and do some shading on these pylons while I'm waiting. Do. So you can see how much that walnut is a very bold line. Compared to the brown liner we were using before, walnut is very much a smack you in the face, very solid color. It's good for bringing out details down below here though because it's already so dark. A bunch of water to like kind of flood this area with a darker, turn my walnut into an impromptu wash. Make it quite dark. A little bit mucky here on top, but I can clean that up. There'll be mostly highlights up here, so it's okay to go over some of this muckiness with my light golden color for my rope. They're just starting to get in there then with that blonde color and bring up. You can see the couple of little bits here. Hey there, Slayer. Hey, Wise Thug. Thanks for the Prime sub. We're working on the sign a little bit today, Slayer. Now I need to take my rope color and fix all these little blobbies that I got. Since this is on top of things, as I mentioned, it's going to be highlighted anyway, so that has gotten rid of the blobbies for the most part. I ordered all my Christmas presents yesterday that I didn't have, except for gift cards that I have to go and just get at the store. And I ordered David not to open any presents addressed to me, any boxes addressed to me in the mail. I did pull the trigger on the Switch. So that's a bunch of money sucked out of my account. So just getting that highlight there. We're going to stay. Yeah, I hope it will be. I hope David will enjoy it. I hope I will enjoy. I have a knitting project I want to start, so he has to like play video games on it so that I can watch and knit at the same time. So I'll tell him that's my goal. And I bought him Zelda. I bought him the box with the code to firmly inform him of what I'm actually buying it for him to play. So yeah, so hopefully he will have fun with that. It'll be a new toy, so. And I might actually find some games on it that I like too, so. I like RPGs that are more story and don't require a lot of complicated mechanics. So, it seems like there might be a few things like that on there. But yeah, this is the most expensive present I've ever bought David. Hopefully he doesn't yell at me. But I figure it's fair because he's buying me a pretty expensive digital notebook, probably, if he remembers. I hope he does. It's something I've been staring at for like 3 years, thinking about. Probably for even longer than that, honestly, but very intensely over the last 3 years. You will enjoy it and then you can steal it later. Perfect gift. Yes! Exactly. So I'm just concentrating on the edges of the ropes as it starts to, I'm making them more solid highlight on top, but then taking it just to the edges as it goes down. But yeah, so, and it's the one that comes with the Mario Kart Deluxe thing. That's the one I bought, the package deal, because it was the same price as one without it, so why not? I may have played Mario Kart at some point in the very long ago past. But if so, it was extremely, extremely long ago. It would have been one of the first iterations. Carnico. I'll make a note of that to remember to tell him. Carnico says pro tip. Thormel. I don't do consoles either. I just do regular PC. But I mean, I have played a couple games on Xbox. I used to do DDR on Xbox because we had the soft pad for it. I really liked that. But I think DDR was the only thing I ever played on our Xbox. Because usually I'm on my PC. Yes, but once you've had that accident and understand what you can do, Carnico. So you can see how the highlighting brings the rope out. It's not flat anymore. As we work around to the side here and start putting in the highlights, I'll go up another layer probably. This is nice and dirty looking, so right here I think I'm probably going to double down, grab some dark green, probably jungle moss, and really start greening this out and bringing in some splatters of green up on the underside of the rope here to suggest like water and algae and stuff like that. It'll be a nice detail counterpoint. It'll also mute things down so that this doesn't, the detailing here doesn't distract from Ms. Mermaid. But it's coming along. It's coming along, guys. It's coming along. Rope is never fast. Like, rope is kind of the most, for me, it's one of the most annoying things to paint in miniatures just because it's monotonous and it's textured and it, you could go too far with it, or you can, it really challenges your brush control. It's probably a good thing to practice brush control on, to be honest. Housemate was Oh my god, you're a monster. Oh my god. Yeah, I play. My PC is kind of long in the tooth a little bit. The new Path of Exile is making it lag a bit, but I'm getting to the point where, like, probably in a couple years I'll have to replace my desktop. Yeah, I'm not even sure what David has on Xbox as far as games go. We don't. He will buy one on something on Steam every once in a while to play on there. Like, usually, mostly it's puzzle games, but he does do some RPG stuff. Alrighty, so here we are. I guess I'll just keep working because we've got a few more minutes, but I've got the colors mixed up. So. But yeah, hopefully he enjoys it. Or finds something to play on it. If nothing else, it gives him another place to look for a good puzzle game when he wants one. Like a side-scroller. Or sometimes he just likes to do those. But he likes jumping puzzles. He likes movement puzzles. He likes RPGs with puzzles. Anything puzzling. So it'll at least let him access the library of stuff that's just Switch only. Innocent edible things. So if we ever had the miniature of Kerniko and Zelda, it would be like on the horse with the camera, with the horse's foot, like the horse wearing like dead chickens on its hooves, or trampling a chicken underfoot, or a bird, not a chicken apparently, a bird underfoot. Is that your Zelda coat of arms, Kerniko? Yeah, I've actually got like 3 presents for David this year, and none of them are miniature related. Richard. Horse hoof adopt the egret. There we go. With a camera. A camera with a crown above it. There's your coat of arms. And our wash didn't take up here, so I can use the color that I based the wash on to fill in some of the shading that didn't quite take. But now I just have to wait for the other things to get here and then wrap them all ninja in secret when David's at work. And then he will do the most annoying thing ever, which he actually is one of those people who will go over to the Christmas tree and pick up and shake his presents to try to figure out what they are. He knows it drives me nutty, and he still does it. Oh my god. He probably does it because he knows it drives me nutty. I'm like, no, damn it, it's a surprise. Do not know the meaning of the word surprise. Surprise does not mean it's another puzzle for you to figure out. Do you see what I live with now? Although it was really funny. It was really funny. He came out. He's always, David is like, he's the ultimate absent-minded professor. It's a good thing he didn't get the job in academia that he almost got, because he would have been the textbook absent-minded professor. He also has a very low perception score, which I regularly use against him for things like Christmas. Sometimes it's like, oh no, I left that out somewhere where he might see it. And it's like, nah, David won't see it. But this morning he wandered out looking for his headphones, and I pointed to them sitting right there on the counter. And he was like, oh, and then he was like, yeah, Kiki's kind of like, not a very perceptive dog either. And he's like, she must be my spirit animal. I think Kiki is my spirit animal. Unprompted. It was so funny. Oh my god, Gurnico. That postal service lady. Oh my god. Clueless. Either clueless or trolling. It could be either. The problem is you never know with some people. Yeah, you too. But yes, he's decided that Kiki is his spirit animal. Kind of oblivious. Wants to play games all the time. Kind of somewhat lazy when they don't have to do anything. It really does. It does kind of fit as to why David is Kiki's favorite person. Yeah, I could do decoy presence, this is true. But that's more work than I want to put in. There's a laziness factor in play here, too. That's what my dog friend, my president of our breed club, Vanessa, one of my longtime dog friends, what she says, one of these, if this keeps going this way, next year I'll be able to hide my own Easter eggs, is her favorite. Richard. It's funny. There we go. So we sharpen up the top of those ropes. We're going to leave that mucky look on the underside. Yeah, that would be funny, Zechariah, to do that. It would take more work, though. Oh, losing things you put down minutes ago. Yeah, that was Ed. Ed, man, the drinks and the random stuff. Like, there would be something randomly in our department, and somebody would say, where did that come from? And I'm like, Ed. You could tell when Ed had breezed through the department because he would always leave something inexplicable lying around. Often a Sonic cup full of tea. Then I'd have to source coal. I don't even know if you can buy coal. I'm in California. They probably give you a dirty look if you buy coal here. Oh, lordy, okay. I can make a joke at California's expense. I live here now. Oh, man. Alrighty. We got a decent highlight on the first two layers of rope, and it's 11 after, so it's about time to lay this project down. And take a look at where we are. I'm much happier with the banner now, actually. Much happier. It was really distracting me with how warm it was before. Like, my eyes would go right there, and now that it's a little bit more muted and washed out, I like it better. Like it a lot better. So yeah, we're progressing. Yay. Yeah, I'm going to darken down this wood a lot because we need more dark. It also will help to frame her just like the anchor does. So, and then yeah, we'll eventually have to work on the anchor. I need to, There's still a little bit more. I didn't do the gold on the other side of this. I still need to figure out what that baubles color is going to be. I might make it turquoise though. And we need to do her eyes, and we need to do the anchor in the wood. Yeah, yeah, she's coming though. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Tomorrow, Friday is Vampirian Day. He is really coming along now. Now that I've got all of his stuff kind of blocked in, I think I might want to do his black tomorrow, but we'll see. I might feel like doing the steel too. I feel like he's coming along quite well. We got some of all the gold kind of blocked in last time, and that was nice, although we didn't get all of it like painted. It's helped. So I may want to do the fur. I'm thinking the fur would be nice. Maybe some leather tomorrow as well. Maybe we'll do some kind of torn up or weathered effects on the leather. But yeah, he's coming along too. Everybody is like, isn't it funny how they all like kind of get toward the end at the same time? Like there are 3 models probably that we're doing basing on now. It's kind of crazy. Oh, thanks, Sakurai. Oh, it was a pleasure. I'm kind of yawny today because my dream woke me up early and then I didn't get back to sleep for a while. Then I did get back to sleep, but then David like shook me awake. Actually, my alarm shook me awake because we'd both slept through both of his alarms. Kind of crazy. But anyway, so yeah, it's a sleepy day. It's a good thing I just have to post a PDF and work on painting a model for my $5. But yeah, you guys, I hope you all are having a pretty good like pre-holiday season. Your shopping is going well. You're looking forward. No, it was actually a super good dream. Did you miss that, Pendrake? It was the best dream I've ever had in my life. It made me happier than any dream has ever made me. And that's why I woke up, because I was so happy and excited. And then because I was so happy and excited, my brain wanted to extrapolate the dream out. It's like, and then this would happen, and then this would happen. It just wanted to stay in the dream, and it wouldn't let me go back to sleep. Yes, sometimes having a story brain is bad. But yes, best dream ever. Best dream ever. Would have dream again. Just wish I wouldn't like stay awake like thinking about it after I woke up from it. So have a great one, guys. Thank you, Quindy, as always, for herding L cats as well as John. And yeah. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a good one.